All right, guys, welcome back to the Rich Shiels Golf Show podcast, episode 219. I'm back here in Manchester, here with Guy. Are you feeling better, pal?
No.
Oh. I already knew the answer to that because you sound very croaky.
Look, I don't want to moan and get all the attention, but I'm recovering from tonsillitis. So when you were away sunning yourself in America, filming, playing golf at Sawgrass and all these other amazing places, which I'm sure you'll come on to, I was in bed watching the Royal Family.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, I felt really off. I didn't feel good at all. I'll be honest.
The Royal Family. That's a classic. And for our US audience, the Royal Family is like a comedy sketch. It's nothing about the Royal Family.
No.
It's about a family...
They're from Manchester. The actual location is never disclosed, but it's definitely supposed to be Manchester.
And it's just that the fact that the family name is Royal.
Yes, Jim
and it's
Royal.
Hilarious. Anyway, hopefully.
Oh, no, it's mine, bro. Weird noise then. That's the antibiotics killing all the germs in my throat.
You sounded like you had a little frog in your throat. Anyway, we have lots to chat about. I'll try and do a lot more of the talking today, so you don't have to do much of the heavy lifting. But
don't get carried away. It's not got crazy.
I really, really want to touch on my experience with LIV this weekend.
Wow.
I watched more LIV content than I ever have done this weekend.
Have you fallen into the trap? They signed John Rahm, and next thing you've become a LIV fan.
I have just as many negatives as I do positives. So I'm going to come on to those shortly.
I feel like, you know what? We're going to talk about LIV again today. And some people are like, great, I want to hear about this. And some people might be like, I've heard about this a million times. But I just can't see the LIV competition ever going because it's such a big thing. They've signed so many players, obviously recently John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton. You have to watch it in a way of, like you just said, analysing it, don't you?
I for the first real time this weekend, I watched it in the sense of this isn't going anywhere.
No.
Like the first couple of years, I probably wasn't giving it enough justification to go, why am I even spending that much time watching this? Because this is not going to last.
Yeah.
This is the third season now, and I watched it like, this isn't going anywhere.
Well, and also, and I won't try and pretend I really understood it, but this announcement last week of the PJ Tour and the funding that they're getting from, is it SSG or something to do with FSG? I don't quite understand it all, as I've just said.
Well, I know it's $3 billion.
They're getting $3 billion, and there's still room for PIF to potentially invest, which may or may not happen. If it does or doesn't happen, though, this investment from the PIF into the PJ Tour, it looks like LIV is still going to be a thing. Yeah.
It doesn't look like the PIF and PJ Tour is going to be like properly connected, is it at all? Like, it feels like the PJ are doing what they're already doing, and if PIF want to invest, then there's an opportunity to do so. But it feels like, as much as the players seem to be wanting more of it, you've heard Rory McIlroy talking about it more recently, being very vocal on it, this kind of collaboration, getting all the best players back together again. I spoke about it briefly on the start of last week's podcast before getting into the Ryan Ruffles interview. I actually feel like this week we've turned another corner, and I feel like it's gone further away again. I felt like it was getting quite close, and after that announcement for the PGA Tour, I feel like it's got further away again. I don't know if there is ever going to be a coming together again.
I tell you what, though, and again, something we've touched on before, but when you look at the field now in LIV, you can't deny there are some super strong players in that field.
Should we go through my kind of positives and negatives? Then. Because this weekend there was two big golf tournaments on. The AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which is a real iconic PGA Tour event. Some of the biggest names have played in it, have won it, and again, the biggest names on the PGA Tour were playing at Pebble Beach this weekend. You had the first LIV event in Mexico, which obviously 3 rounds of golf, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the PGA Tour should have been Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's kind of like what felt like a real head-to-head opportunity. I did watch quite a bit of Pebble Beach on Thursday. I was still in America on Thursday, so I watched a bit of Pebble Beach there, and I found it. Oh no, in fact, Pebble Beach started. Oh, it did start Thursday, didn't it? Yeah. Still, yeah, sorry, it did. Watched quite a bit of Pebble Beach on Thursday. Enjoyed it. You know, it's an amazing golf course. You kind of watch it a lot for the golf course, more than maybe you do about the playing. I was like, well, it's the golf course. It's so iconic. One that I definitely want to play at. Then on Friday evening, I'd got back from America. I was sat lounging around at home and realised that LIV had kicked off and it was free to watch on YouTube. That's kind of my first plus. Yeah. This weekend, it was back. It was free. I think it was still last year, but free to watch on YouTube. You can pause it. You can rewind it. It's a platform that people can access.
I agree. Is that, however, the case in the States? Can you remember? Was it on when you were there? I don't know if it is.
I wasn't over there when I was there.
I'm not saying that's the case, but I know it's on that CW network over there. So I don't know if it's also free on YouTube, but it might be. So I can't speak for that.
Well, on Friday, it was getting about an average. This is numbers that YouTube were spitting out. Around 16,000 concurrent viewers. On the final day last night, it got to like 26,000, nearly 30,000 concurrent viewers.
Which is better than it has been.
And I think a lot of that was the fact that the PGA Tour yesterday, the final day, got cancelled because of horrendous weather, which really fell into the fortune of LIV, I believe. Another positive is the comments section on YouTube. I'm also putting that as a negative because as much as on YouTube, when you're watching it and you're watching it live, you can comment and leave, you know, you can have input. You can say, oh, this is cool. This, I want to see such a player do well. That's what it's capable of. The reality, the comment section is vile. on YouTube, it's vile. It is just literally non-stop bickering between LIV lovers and LIV haters. Like non-stop.
Were you enjoying that as much as you were enjoying the golf?
Loved it.
Yeah, of course you did.
Loved it. I left a few comments in there. I wanted people
did you?
Yeah, I left a few comments in there. Because, you know,
go fireballs.
I wanted to chuck a few grenades in there. No, to be honest, just really testing the waters. A lot of people thought it was you and not me. But,
it definitely wasn't me.
I was mentioning like what's everyone's thoughts, what's everyone's opinions, and it's quite mixed. Yeah. To be honest, quite mixed, right? So my positives, these are what I want to run through. So I tuned in to watch Rahm's tee shot, okay? I found it very underwhelming. It just wasn't that incredible. I was like, Jon Rahm, this is it. He's just signed for what, 500, 600 million or whatever. This can be amazing. And it was just a bit like, oh, yeah, he's teed off. Okay, off we go. It seemed a little bit underwhelming. After maybe about 20 minutes, I switched off the coverage. This was on Friday when it first started. I thought, I'm not that bothered. You know, I'm going to switch it off. You know, I thought it's another LIV event. I don't seem that interested. A few hours passed, a bit jet lagged. My wife had gone to bed. I've turned it back on again, bat 9. And it was when Joaquin Niemann was starting to look like he was shooting a potential 57. Okay. I watched for solid 2 hours. I watched the whole bat 9 of it. So I feel like I really, really got invested. Why was I watching? For him. That was why I was watching. I wanted to see, does someone shoot a 57? Obviously, Bryson shot 58 last year. You don't see 50s that often. Can actually happen? Can he go out and shoot a 57? The reality, he went and shot 59, nothing horrendous. But I felt like that was the excitement of watching. The reason why I'd watch Pebble Beach is to watch the golf course. The reason why I was watching the Friday was to see if Joaquin Niemann could shoot a 59 or better. Okay. Once he'd done that, it kind of felt a bit short-lived. I was like, once he'd finished, it was like, oh, that's kind of it now. I wasn't as
In what
excited.
sense do you mean? Because hasn't the tournament all finished then? Because they all finished at the same time.
I think he finished a few holes earlier than everyone else. But it didn't seem like the commentators were that hyped up about it. It just seemed a bit flat. It just seemed a bit flat.
Because what's interesting there, what you're saying is, you can see both sides. Because in one way, when you're saying you watch him to shoot that score, he shot 59 in the end, didn't he? That is, I suppose, exactly what LIV Golf will want. They'll want people watching not only because it's a LIV Golf and it's shining, it's new, but for the best players in the world to do amazing things, which in that case has been done. So you're watching it for the same reason you'd watch any event, I guess, to a degree, when someone's on fire. That's got to be a good thing. Yeah,
and that was it. I absolutely tuned in because Niemann, who I think is an unbelievable talent, was shooting an incredible score. And that was really why I was gripped. But as I was watching, I started to make some notes. Overall, I actually thought the coverage was good.
Right.
Okay? Thought the coverage was good. It's definitely improved since I last I last watched. I like the fact you got to follow the players who were playing good. So it didn't just focus on everybody. It really did start to home into 5 or 6 players that were playing good, which you'd normally see on PGA Tour anyway. I actually for the first time, I actually felt like the graphics were easier to understand.
Okay.
I think a little bit of that is because it's not the first time you see it now. That graphics down the left-hand side, that almost F1 graphics, it was actually slightly easier to understand. Okay?
Yeah.
You do see lots of golf. Mm-hmm. You do. You see a lot of shots. And there's no real adverts where you watch on PJ Tour, you know, certainly when we're watching America, it feels like it's non-stop commercials.
Yeah.
Like it feels like you see 2 shots and you're into a commercial. You don't get that with LIV. I'm going to come on to that a little bit later on. The other thing I cannot neglect, and I think you touched on it, it's a really strong leaderboard. Mm. It is. You can't deny it. Like the players that are now playing in LIV, it's the household names, aren't they? You know, from like I say, John Rahm sign is massive for him. You got Tyrrell Hatton now. You look at I looked at leaderboards like, yeah, I know them. I don't think you can say that now for PGA Tour. In fact, when I was in America and I was actually watching with a colleague of ours, Neil, and we were watching Torrey Pines the week before. We turned it on. He's like, "Oh, who's that guy?" And I'm like, I don't know who that is. Oh, who's that guy? And I'm like, oh God, is he the French kid? Like, I didn't feel like I knew the players on PGA Tour.
I'd agree, but I think the difference maybe is that what LIV have done very well is they've signed some players who are super, super hot right now, i.e. John Rahm, who's also a massive name. And they've also signed massive names of somewhat yesteryear. You could argue Bubba Watson, Mickelson to a degree, although he's still obviously on fire at times, Lee Westwood, etc. Whereas, I suppose the PGA Tour is where you do have a lot more of that emerging talent come through. So obviously Ludwig came second. Like, he is going to be world number 1, isn't he, at some point? He could go to LIV. I'm sure he's had conversations with LIV, etc. But I suppose you are going to see more of those newer names come through on the PGA Tour, and then they might get pinched from LIV.
Definitely. And that's the thing. Like, let's say it was 3 years ago, I was watching Torrey Pines, you would have still had household names playing in that event. It's just that a lot of those have been stripped away. So that was overall my positives. Like, I was actually watching it and going, okay, this isn't the worst product in the world. However, this comes on to my negativity. And this is not directed at any particular commentator.
Okay.
I think the commentary is terrible.
Really?
And I'm not saying I could do a better job. That's not me saying I can do a better job. It's not. It just seems really fake.
Overly enthusiastic at times.
Yeah. Just seems a little bit fake, a little bit not natural. And these guys are professionals. Don't get me wrong. Is it Arlo White and David Ferretti and Suan, who's out on the golf course? I just don't think they're the strongest presenters for what now is this new kind of futuristic golf event. Okay. Sorry, that's just my absolute opinion. I don't think I can do better. Okay. But I don't think they're the best commentators at all. There's lots of now, albeit there's not many adverts or commercials, there's actually a lot more now LIV adverts in the content. So suddenly, like, you're watching the golf and it's cutting away to the new podcast that they're doing, and it's like a 30-second commercial. I'm like, oh, I was kind of watching the golf there. And they're doing a lot more of those now, where it feels like they're populating their actual content with their own commercials, which seems a bit like, oh, come on guys, hurry up, I want to watch the golf again. Okay, this is a big one for me. You never see a player's reaction after a golf shot. So they'll hit a shot to the hole and you'll kind of see the shot going in, you'll see the ball land on the green, and good shot, bad shot. All happens next, you just cut straight to the next player.
I've never noticed that.
And it's amazing when you watch PGA Tour or more traditional golf events, it goes back to the player, so you can see a bit of reaction. Did they like the shot? Did they not like the shot? Are they frustrated? You see it a few times on putts, but still very rarely. But on full shots, you almost never see a player's reaction.
Wow.
The sound effect of the ball going in the hole is ridiculous. And it's so grating. Like, when you actually watch for a long period of time, it's like, it's so frustrating. The first time, that's quite novel.
Is it a real actual microphone?
I don't even know.
No.
I don't know. If it's not, the timing it must do is incredible. It's just very, very, very grating. I just didn't enjoy it at all. After a while, I felt like as I saw the ball going in the hole, I was tempted to like mute the video. It was that bad. Poor crowd attendance. Again, it's in Mexico. I'm not saying, I don't feel like it's a super, super strong, location for golf audiences. You see great audiences in Adelaide. We went to the London event last year. You see great audiences there. I feel like the poor crowd attendance really does affect the mood and the atmosphere of the whole event. Watch on TV and the players' reaction. I put on here, the comment section on YouTube is a negative because, like I say, it's just all talking about, bloody negativity and all this and the other. This is an interesting one. What would you say one of LIV's kind of taglines are that what sort of audience are they attracting?
Golf but louder. So they're trying to appeal to a younger, more vibrant audience.
Yeah. And where would you put younger? Where would you sit that category?
18 to 30.
Okay. Younger than 18 or not?
I'll still include them, but...
So one thing, and again, I'm not saying that I'm perfect at all. They don't bleep out the swearing.
Right.
It's all in there. There's no apology by the commentators. John Rahm dropped a massive F-bomb when he left the putt short and this and the other. And it just got me thinking, again, I'm not offended by it. I don't mind swearing at all. It's not something, we don't put it on our content, but it's not something I'm offended by. I just felt like if we're trying to attract this younger audience, should those big F-bombs be left in and should... I don't know. I just...
Yeah,
it was a little bit of a... Like I say, if they're just attracting 18 to 30-year-olds, well, yeah, drop them in because they'll love that. I just think if you then slip into the category of... And again, kids can watch this after the event. They might not have been up live. They might watch it the next day. I'm just a little bit cautious about that kind of swearing, okay? Another couple of things. On the fight I watched again on Sunday, I pretty much watched all of it on Sunday last night. I lost count the amount of times they said Championship Sunday. I was like, God's sake. It's like, welcome back to this Championship Sunday. We've got this great shot here on Championship Sunday. How much different is the atmosphere here on Championship Sunday? I'm like, for God's sake, it's just the final day. It's not Championship Sunday. It's not like the final of the final. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My other thing that really grated me was LIV Golf history.
Lack of, or they're trying to...
So... anything that happens is always followed by LIV Golf history. For example, the playoff last night, okay? Went to 4 holes. Guess what? It was the first 4-hole playoff in LIV Golf history, okay? It was won with a birdie. That's the first birdie in a playoff in LIV Golf history.
Okay, I'm with you.
A player makes 4 pars in a row. That's the first time a player's made 4 pars in a row in golf LIV history. And also it got even more extreme where it was like, something else happened. It was like, let's say it was a playoff. Well, it was a playoff, obviously, between Sergio Garcia and Joaquin Niemann. It was like, that's the 7th playoff in golf LIV history. Yeah. LIV Golf history. I'm like, for God's sake, guys, like, drop it. Okay. So that was my negative takes.
Yeah.
Got some suggestions.
Okay.
Which I personally think would make it an awful lot better. And I actually, as much as you do hear a little bit of the actual audio from players and caddies, I just want to hear more of it.
But not swearing.
Ideally not swearing.
Okay.
I'll just bleep it out. Have a little bit of a delay where you can, I don't mind if you can tell they've sworn, but don't keep it in.
Yeah, okay, fair dues.
I do think they need a fresh commentary team. I do. I don't know. Or alternative commentary team.
Yeah.
So you can watch.
But do you mean someone that's more kind of youthful or what?
Yeah. I just thought they were poor.
Okay.
I just don't think they're very good at all. Sorry. And I'm genuinely, absolutely, I reckon it's one of the hardest jobs in the world to do. I could not do it as much as I am comfortable talking on camera. We can do the podcast. I would find it really difficult commentating on golf. I would. I just think those guys don't suit the product. Yeah. I think that's probably more of it. I don't think they're a bad team. I just don't think they suit the product.
That is.
I actually wish it wasn't a shotgun start. Okay. I actually think it'd be a lot better if it was just a 2T start. I feel like a shotgun start, there's almost too much going on. If it was a 2T start, so you still condense the time frame into a shorter time frame. But you get that drama of because on the last day you'd put the guys furthest away from the leaderboard on the back nine, starting on the back nine, and you'd put the guys who were highest on the leaderboard starting on the front nine, so that you could actually have a proper grandstand finish.
Yeah.
I miss that grandstand finish because you had it did actually work out that this happened where Sergio Garcia finished on the 18th about 3 holes before Joaquin Niemann and John Rahm came up 18th and finished on 18th, which I don't quite know how that worked, but like it felt like there was a clubhouse leader.
Yeah.
And I love that clubhouse leader vibe. It's like they're in the clubhouse, they've set the target. All these players now coming up these final few holes have got to hit that target. Mm-hmm. The other thing I think they should do is highlight more bad playing. So there's actually a lot of golfers, big name golfers who they pay an awful lot of money to sign up to LIV, who are having bad rounds of golf.
You want to see some of that?
I want to see it. I want to see a lot of it. I do. And again, I know that's not part of the story, but with this kind of team element, I feel like there should be a little bit more like, right, John Rahm's doing really well over here, but he's playing partner, such a body's doing horrendous over here. How's that going to affect the team score? Mm-hmm. Feels like you don't see that horrendous side of it.
Right,
I want to see a bit more of the bad stuff. I also think there should be a commentary booth halfway round, like as in properly let's hear from the players. But I look pinching the idea a little bit from what DP World Tour have done recently, almost like this booth where there's not a commentator in there. Just go in and go, right, I'm halfway round. It's not been my best front nine. You know, I've really annoyed my double bogey on the last or whatever it was, right? I've got the back nine to come. Let me just have a look at how my teammates are doing, right? So we're 3 off the lead, right? I'm going to make sure we get... I just feel like there needs to be something there because you don't... As much as there's not many players, I actually don't feel like you get that close to the players. Mm-hmm. You know, you've got the on-course commentators, but I don't feel like you're really hearing from the players as well as you should do, considering it's such a short field. I also think like a risk-reward hole would be quite novel. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more something exciting, like there's a hole where it's double points if you make birdie or something. I know it might be a little bit away from traditional golf, but certainly from the team element, I feel like it's a bit flat if a team's running away with it. I'm like, well, that's it. It's over with. And then my final point is I just feel like the team element is I just wasn't bothered at all.
No.
I really find it, and I went in there with a real mindset. I was like, right, come on, Rick, is there any connection to any team? And I've been very lucky to play with, film with quite a lot of the guys across all different teams. And I just don't land on a team at all. It just doesn't connect with me. Mm-hmm. If anything, it's distracting from the actual playing of really good golf. Like it just feels like it's a bit of a side story that I don't understand how fans are interested in it.
I think from what you're saying, I've listened to a lot of those points and a lot of them resonate with me, although I've not watched it this week really. It kind of feels like, and this has been I think the problem from the get-go is that LIV Golf wanted to be different, and the whole tagline was this golf but louder, or whatever it was called. And in some ways it is different, isn't it? They've got obviously teams and they've got the shotgun start, but ultimately it's not that different. And that example you gave before about like should there be a risk or reward hole? Well, it's not a bad idea. That might seem to be a bit gimmicky, but if it was a bit gimmicky or a bit more gimmicky, it would work. But it's kind of like it's a bit lost in no man's land, where it's like you said, it's a serious, to a degree, stroke play tournament where the winner gets the plaudits. It's also a team event. There's also kind of music on, but it's not that like so the commentators aren't really down with the kids, so to speak, and super young and don't really kind of suit that. It feels a bit like, and it's like I again, I've used this example before, but I don't particularly like cricket, nothing against it, but find it somewhat boring. But the 100, I watched that and it was still cricket, but it was so different. I got into it. This team gets 100 bowls, you get how many runs. The other team then gets 100 bowls, so you get how many runs. And it was quick and fast. This is kind of like golf's version of that, but it's nowhere near far enough. If it was one round of 18 holes and it was a shotgun start, would I enjoy that more? Maybe. But when you've got this weekend, I know obviously again PGA Tour was cut short by a day, but you've got 2 events on to watch and the DP World Tour. For me, there's nothing standing out to almost know which one to watch, and it almost puts you off.
last night, I mean, the choice was taken away from me. On the Saturday, I remember thinking to myself, I wonder what I'm going to watch tomorrow night. I feel like I might have to double screen this and watch a bit of PGA Tour and a bit of LIV. The choice got taken away from me because there was no PGA Tour, so I had to go fully all in with LIV. But the music's an interesting one because in the UK it's not popular to play golf with music yet. It's very, very popular in America, but it definitely makes it feel less important for the players. And Jon Rahm kind of looked a bit frustrated with the music, albeit after in his post-round interview he said he quite liked it, which I'm not fully sure if he was being dead honest there. But I just felt like it was distracting from a viewer standpoint. It made it feel less important.
Yeah.
Didn't make it feel as like they're playing for $4 million and you've got buddy Taylor Swift playing on the background. It just didn't feel as...
What I would say about LIV Golf, though, and I think you kind of touched on at the start with the fact it's the third season now, is regardless of what we kind of think of it, and like you said, you've listed out some good pros, but also some quite important cons, it is 100% getting some level of traction now.
100%.
And as much as I didn't really watch it, I tuned in at times this weekend to watch a bit of it, it does genuinely feel like it is, even the last couple of weeks, now with the signings they've got, it is starting to get a little bit more important of who's won. And even though, again, like, it doesn't really have a history yet, it's still in its infancy, with Jon Rahm in the field and still obviously playing well, the people that win events like this week, Joaquin Niemann, it's starting to actually think, it's starting to put them in a different regard. I know, again, he's a great player already, but something I've said so many times before, against what I'm going to say now, I always thought that winning a LIV event didn't really mean anything. It's not the PGA Tour event, it doesn't have that meaning to it. I still don't think it quite does. However, I definitely think it's getting there that, as they recruit more and more and more players, which they're going to keep doing, let's be honest, it is going to start to be quite powerful when you win an event.
It's going to get harder to win an event.
Of course.
Like for the first year, probably Brooks and DJ were licking the lips and like, well, this is easy. It's like taking candy from a baby. Now they're thinking, oh God, now I've got buddy Jon Rahm to beat. Now I've got Cam Smith to beat. Now I've got Tyrrell Hatton to beat. Like, it's not as easy anymore. The other thing I've got to give plaudits to, and it's something I absolutely slagged off for the first couple of years, and there must have been a reason why they did it. I'm not sure why. But last night, the actual value of money was never mentioned.
Right.
So it wasn't that, I remember the first time,
yeah,
this is a putt to win $4 million. This is a shot to win $4 million. I'm thinking, for God's sake, I almost forgot. For the first time yesterday, I almost forgot they were playing for such amazing, like ridiculous
insane
amounts of money. But saying that, on the flip side, Wyndham Clark, who won the Pebble Beach after 54 holes, won $3.6 million.
Well, yeah.
Like, it's not that different anymore to a PGA Tour event.
Do you think then the one thing potentially holding back LIV, which actually is its USP to a degree, is the team element?
I think the team element can work. It's got to be based on countries. But it's too late to do that now, because a lot of the deals is that you get kind of equity or stake in a team. I actually would like it to scratch all the team formats so far and go, right, the only team that genuinely makes sense to me, and I spoke about it with Ryan last week in the podcast, is the Rippers.
Because they're all Australian.
Yeah, it's the only team that makes sense to me. If I was Australian, and that's the team I would naturally gravitate towards, why would I not?
What about then if they still had the teams and it was still 3 days, or it might go to 4 days, whatever it looks like, and the first two are just individual stroke play, still playing the team colours, but it's all about who wins that actual event, and then the final day is actually pure team. So it's just, I don't know what the format, whether it's match play or whatever it looks like, it's an absolute team day that day. I don't know, whether it be foursomes or, I've no idea.
I still just don't quite understand how people are going to connect with teams. That's my only gripe. Now, I think the changing point is if Nike come in and buy a team. Yeah. Suddenly it's the Nike Smash team. Well, then suddenly you go, well, I quite like Nike. I'm quite, all right, I'll give them a chance. I quite like the logo. I mean, I don't think anyone's liking any logo at the moment.
The thing is, though, as much as I agree with you in a sense that I have no affiliation to any teams and I'm not really into it, I do think people are, because when I've been to the event in London, like with you do see people buying merch. I don't want to sound condescending in any way, but I know that Americans often get behind teams a bit more, like, so that I know that you've seen people online, whether it's just LIV bots on Twitter or not, I don't know, people actually go like, go Smash or go Fireballs, like people are buying into it. And certainly, if I had a young little lad or whatever that was old enough to be watching golf and was 5 or 6 and watching them and they said, oh, I love that Crusher's team, do they then become a fan? You know, they're young and they're impressionable. I don't know. So I'm completely with you. I don't get the teams. I would never support a team I don't believe. However, I actually can understand why some people are. And even now, as much as I cringe at the names, some of them are becoming more brands to me, like Smash. I do think of that as being a bit of, whether it's because it's Brooks, one of the biggest players, I don't know, but, and Crushers, and even this, is it Legion 13, is it called?
Yeah.
Even now, they're starting to become something, but I couldn't get behind it.
I'd love a crystal ball and look at how this all plays out in the next 10 years. I really would. The only thing, when I was genuinely watching it last night, and I was sat there and I was watching it and making all these notes and enjoying it. I've got to say, I was enjoying it to a point where I was like, this is quite exciting. I'm actually quite interested to see who wins this. It's still, there was a bit of me deep down that was like, but it's fractured golf. Like, we're in a situation at the moment where it just feels like this. Where's Rory in this? Where's JT in this? Where's Jordan Spieth in this? I'm not saying in that event, but on the flip side, if it was the PGA Tour, like, where's DJ in this? Where's Brooks in this? Where's Cam Smith? Like, I genuinely, and I know, I'm sure I'm not the only person, but I want all the best golfers to be at every single event. And I understand that's where the issues are.
Hear me out. Sorry, go on. You finish your point and then hear me out.
You know, I want, next week it's the waste management on the PGA Tour, okay? You know there's going to be a high caliber golfer.
Yes.
But I can't guarantee who's going to be there. Next week it's LIV Vegas.
They're all going to be there.
Every single one of them are going to be there.
You know what I would say, and this might go against the grain, although I can understand your point completely about you want the best events in the best plays in all the events, I'm actually enjoying them not. Because it's really, for me, who is somewhat of a casual fan of watching golf on TV, if anything, it elevates the majors even more.
I know, but then there's not enough majors.
But then I like that amount. I think 4 for me. I get behind everyone. I'll watch everything of the Open. I'll watch pretty much everything of the Masters, and I'll dip in and out of the PGA, and I'll watch most of the US Open. But now that all those players are going to be mostly in the PGA, that then elevates what I would say is the worst major by quite a way.
But then again, they're not all going to be in it.
Well, see, that's the difference.
Neiman last night literally walked off the golf course, got a mic stuck in his face. What do you think about your win as being one of the best players in the world? And his first response was, but I'm not in the majors.
Well, so that's a very different point. And this is where we go back to a long-winded way to like world ranking points. I do believe, and I said this for a long time, that LIV deserve world ranking points. It makes a mockery of the sport if Joaquin Neiman isn't in the majors when he's that good. However, if and when that gets rectified, I then don't mind too much having these 2 tours, because for me, then it gives you those 4 events a year. Because I'll be honest, when you look back now with rose-tinted glasses and think, God, I wish that Bryson and John Rahm and all these guys were in all the PGA Tour events. They were a couple of years ago. I still didn't watch them, really, very often. Yeah. So it's always thinking, I wish I had that. But what it has done for me, it's really given the spotlight even more so. Like, I cannot wait for the Masters. I already would have watched it beforehand, but even more so now.
Yeah, well, you've got those prospects of juicy tee times.
I think, like I said, they just need to sort out this world ranking points, because it is going to get silly. And like again, if we look at Tyrrell Hatton now, I think he's exempt this year for the majors because he was world ranking. But as that starts to decline, which it will do inevitably unless he wins a major, but it will do being on LIV, 3 years' time or 2 years' time, he won't be able to play in the majors, and he could be winning every LIV event.
You know what I'm confused about? And you might know the answer. You're more switched on.
Yeah.
How come LIV players could still play in DP World Tour events?
Is it the ones that have gone back though? Oh no, because
loads of them were in Dubai playing in Dubai Desert Classic.
I don't know if they've been paid. They had to pay those
like
fines.
Louis Oosthuizen this year has won 2 European Tour events.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It feels like every time it happens, I'm almost a bit like, how are they there?
Yeah, good question. Should know, really. I'll find out by the time the podcast goes live and put it as a pinned comment.
Anyway, I found it very interesting.
Are you a LIV fan now? If you were a 0 out of 10 before this weekend, what are you now? A little 3?
I don't know if I was a 0. I reckon I was a 2 out of 10 before this weekend. This weekend did stuff to me. I think it massively played in this, but I don't think this would have happened if Pebble Beach wasn't on. Yeah, next weekend it'll be really interesting because LIV starts on Thursday next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because the Super Bowl's on Sunday.
Knowing when it's on and where it's on and everything.
It's because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and there's the Super Bowl on Sunday, where Waste Management is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday is the final day. The Super Bowl straight after. Yeah, they normally tee off really early on a Sunday. I'm
going to say it now. You're the exact person who gets on trends. I could see you getting on the LIV train.
But then if the Waste Management's good, it's going to be, it's genuinely, and this is why I still believe that the best players in the world deserve the most money. It's still about who's playing in those tournaments. Like if Rory's going on a charge on that Sunday, I'm watching that. If the final day is, God, I don't want to badmouth,
Joe Bloggs and somebody else.
And I'm like, well, I'm not bothered. But it feels like it's less likely to be a Joe Bloggs on LIV, where it feels like the PGA Tour, it's likely to be a Joe Bloggs that I don't really know about. Because even, next week it could be bloody Bubba versus DJ coming down the last. I'm like, I'm in. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it's going to be a Joe Bloggs versus Joe Bloggs.
There are a few, though, if you look at LIV, but they're probably not going to do.
Well, that's what I mean. They don't feel like they're doing that well.
Yeah.
When in PGA Tour, I always feel like a couple of Joe Bloggs. No disrespect to Joe Bloggs at all.
Joe Bloggs at home crying into his coffee.
But they always seem to go up there. And they might just be new up and coming talents that I don't even know about. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I wouldn't like to put a number on it, but I definitely found myself watching more.
Nice.
So
it is what it is. Yeah, I might watch next weekend and I'll come back in with a more...
I think Vegas is going to be really interesting. Going back to that point, crowd. I think if they get an unbelievable crowd, I think it could be really, really good.
Does it make you more excited for the Masters though now already that it's not that far away?
100%. It does make me more excited for the majors, don't get me wrong. But that's not going to be forever. Like I'm almost counting down the majors that, how many Masters is Bryson going to be able to play in?
Well, I think he got 5 years, didn't he, from winning the US Open?
And when did he win that? In
2021. Yeah.
So he's only got 3 years left. Yeah. 2 years left. Like it feels like it's not going to be long before we're not going to see these guys, unless something changes. Okay,
so you've been away for a couple of weeks, gallivanting.
I have.
In the States, filming and playing and enjoying yourself by looks of things.
I have.
Played some good golf courses.
Didn't drop a single drip of alcohol.
Wow. Sounds like you did.
That's actually the polar opposite of what I did. I didn't
drink
a drop of alcohol.
Yeah, if you didn't drop a drip, that would be that you really hold your pints.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't drop a drink.
No?
Drip a drink. Drip a drop of drink.
Are you sure? Put on the wacky backy instead. So what's your vibe now? Well, actually, before you tell me your vibe, I got loads of comments before from the Facebook group from our wonderful friends and foes and family. Foes are enemies, actually, aren't they?
Well, some of them might be.
Some of them might be. From Jeffrey, he said, how's Rick's diet going? He's looking great. So I thought I'd give you that one. So on that one, speaking of Jeffrey and your diet, if you didn't drink for 2 weeks in America, what's going wrong?
What's going right? Just a slight different mindset. I think collectively, all of us are a bit more into our kind of health at the moment. I probably kickstarted it probably November time last year. Wanted to kind of feel better. I've been eating a lot better. I've been drinking an awful lot less. I had a couple of nice drinks over my holiday in Dubai when I was away with the family and kids, but then got back and I've not drank since. Just kind of like prioritizing. We're not getting any younger, are we? So
speak for yourself.
Prioritizing health, fitness, good eating. I feel like it's hopefully going to benefit my golf. I've definitely seen glimpses of improvement in clubhead speed and distance, etc., and just feel better. Like when you've lost a little bit of weight, or you're not as hungover, or you're a bit clearer minded. I just feel in a better spot right now.
Very good.
So hopefully, I'm not doing it.
You give yourself 12 tokens a year.
I'm going to give myself 12 drinking tokens a year while I let my hair down. But, for me, I think my biggest issue in the past has been I've always tried to start a fitness journey for a goal, and that goal be it a holiday, that goal be it whatever it may be. For the first time, I've not got an end goal. It's the end goal is bloody life. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not as if I'm doing it for a certain time frame. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just feels like I'm doing it. Like, I want to enjoy the process, and I'm enjoying the gym a lot more, and I've been working out, way more than I ever have done, and actually enjoying it for the sake of enjoying working out, like feeling like you've done something and you've produced something and you've got stronger. And so yeah, we'll stick with it. It's been the longest I've stuck with a diet plan, training,
It's not a diet plan anymore. It's a way of life.
A way of life. That is the difference, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I think you could be on the bodybuilding. Give it 3 years. Liv's going well. You're on the bodybuilding stage, shredded.
Why is Liv going well?
Because you said in 3 years, what's Liv going to be doing?
Right.
So Liv will be going well, probably. Maybe you could be a Liv presenter.
I don't think I could do a good enough job.
We'll try now. John Rahm's on the first. He's the 2026 Las Vegas, whatever it's called.
I just messed it up.
That's right. Well, we'll go now straight to our live broadcast team. Here's Rick Shiels.
Thanks, Guy. I'm just here on the course, so I need to be quiet. John Rahm. John's actually telling me to be quiet. He's telling me to F off. He's saying, why am I talking in his backswing? Sorry, John, about that. Anyway, back to the studio.
Yeah, so we've just sacked Rick. He's absolutely right. I have to believe that. Sorry, man. Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure how well I do. Let's have some more questions.
So we've got one from Jean-Francois. What? That was really nice to say that. Say it.
Jean-Francois.
Yeah, it's nice that. And he says, I've added a 7-wood to my bag. Have you ever tried one, and any tips on using them?
I don't feel like a Jean-Francois should be using a 7-wood.
It could be either way. He's either a silver fox and really fresh, or he's like got loads of woods and iron head covers and 2 gloves.
I feel like he should have a 2-iron that's like a dead old 2-iron blade that's always been in his bag, and he carries a little pencil bag around. And
he's a womanizer.
He's still a silver fox, don't get me wrong.
He's a womanizer.
And he plays off 2, and he's like, I used to be off scratch, but now, I don't practice.
Is he French, or was his mum French?
I think his mum was French. Yeah. Well, Dad was French. His
mum was a looker in the day as well.
Yeah, because that name, his mum's not going to be French, his dad's going to be French.
No, his first name? It's not his surname.
Jean-Francois.
That's his first name.
Oh, geez, what's his last name?
Roy. Sorry, Jean-Francois Roy. But that's his name.
Okay. No, yeah, okay.
His dad's called Ian Roy.
Yeah, mum's French.
His mum was called Matt, give us a French name.
Marie.
Anyway, I don't know any French names, but...
Je m'appelle...
Marie Entrepreneur.
Marie, yeah, Maria.
Maria. Yeah, but that's the only French word I can think of at that moment in time. Anyway, have you used a 7-wood?
I have not used a 7-wood. You had one in the bag.
I had one in the bag, and it was a very short relationship. On paper, it was brilliant, but it's very one-dimensional. It just goes up in the sky, and for me, I didn't really enjoy it. But
bit like a French woman I had a short relationship one time with. That's a total lie. I've never
a French girl in Bolton called Jeanette. Worked in the pie shop. She wasn't French. She just yeah. Okay, right. I've got a serious question for you now. This is from Steve Perry. And he's also called Pierre in his middle name. What's everyone French at the minute? How hard are you going to work? How hard, Rick, are you going to work on your chipping? I feel the rest of your game is almost there, but chipping still feels off in comparison. It costs you a lot of shots.
So I've made a conscious effort to not practice my short game.
Yeah.
So I've got a new plan. I'm going to hit the ball really, really, really far. Mm-hmm. And then
fat it and come off with a double.
Wedge it into, leave myself like 100 yards every time.
Yeah. Full
shot, hit the green and never miss the green.
But if you need to hit it really far,
never miss the green.
You may as well hit irons off the tee.
But then I'm going to hit it so far. There'll be a bridge
over the green. Hit it over the green, 100 yards.
I can probably put it.
Right, okay.
No. Truth be told, I've been practicing a hell of a lot of my long game at the moment. Certainly here when I've been back in the UK, because outdoors not the best weather at the moment. When I've been away, I've definitely been practicing my short game, not as much as I should be doing, but the grass is so bloody hard. The Tommy Fleetwood video was in Dubai where I chunked quite a few chips. The grain, the grass is so different to what I'm used to, but there's no excuse. I've been private messaging my personal short game coach, Dan Grieve, and he's been helping me a little bit on my action as well. So he said it's very positive. He said it's going the right direction. I just need to build up some confidence.
Yes. Paul has said, should they reduce the number of golf clubs in your bag to 12? Should it be a rule, the R&A rule?
What's the reasoning?
Should not give them one?
All right.
I don't think so. But
no, if anything, I think they should put more clubs in the bag. I think that it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Like, if he's talking about this issue with professional golf and golfers hitting it too far and this, that, and the other, and making it harder for them, it's not the worst idea in the world. But I think for recreational play, I think you should make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
I think more clubs should go in the bag. I think almost a limit of 18 clubs would be fine, because it'd get people using different, having a chipper in the bag for argument's sake, or making the game easier, where they could have a driver 3 wood, 5 wood, 7 wood, a chipper, a lot. You could have loads of different options. So I wouldn't be a fan of reducing the number of clubs in the bag unless it was for professional tournament golf.
Paul Crook said, one for Guy, what are your thoughts on night golf? I think that's off the back of the video that went live on Friday, the night golf in Dubai. You know what? Here's my thoughts on night golf. As a novelty, it's really fun compared to normal golf because it's dark. So I've played it twice now and I really enjoyed it. 3 times actually, really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's better than normal golf, but what it is good for is if you live somewhere, if you're fortunate to live somewhere like Dubai where there is night golf, it sounds obvious. It literally makes you can play golf for so much longer in the day. Like, we were on the course at midnight. You would never know it's midnight, still warm, there's light, obviously, because of the floodlights. If you have a 9 to 5 job, you could literally go to finish your work, go home, have tea, put the kids to bed, and still can play 18 holes.
Well, the main reason why it was done in Dubai and Turkey is because it's not so much for that perfect example there, even though that is a great example. It's the fact in the summer it's too hot in the day. Like, literally in the daytime, you cannot play golf. So when it goes a fraction cooler at night in Turkey and Dubai, is you can actually play night golf. But obviously, what it also bleeds into is the fact that, like you said, if you work a 9 to 5 job and you can go out and still play 18 holes comfortably any time of the year, I mean, imagine how good that would be in the UK.
It'd be insane, but it'd be so cold.
Just can't win, can you?
That's all the questions I've got, really. I think
that was good questions.
I've got a sniffle still. My throat's still doing some weird noises.
Well, just a quick one for everyone listening. And this is the benefit of listening to the podcast and watching the podcast. I just want to give people a bit of a heads up on content. 2 things. We filmed more content ahead of schedule than we've ever filmed before.
Correct.
We've got videos in the can now that are filmed that aren't going to be released till April. So I just want to put that on people's radar.
And the match.
And the big match, me versus Guy.
That's coming. There's a few questions on that.
The other thing as well, videos aren't going to come out in chronological order. So videos that we filmed in Dubai or America last year, videos we filmed in the UK or Dubai, America again this year, we're going to have a little bit of a shuffle around, depends on schedule, depends on what certain videos are going to go out on certain weeks. For example, TPC Sawgrass, where I played there, did New Break 75 there, and at Bay Hill, which is the Arnold Palmer Invitational Golf Course. They're going to go out the weeks of said events on the PGA Tour, because I feel like the response we got last year was incredible, that you got to see the golf course in kind of a YouTube video before watching the tournament for the rest of the week. So not going to go out in chronological order. I've had a few driver changes. You'll see in some of the videos. So over the last few months, I've used 3 different drivers in videos. So you might go, well, I'm sure he's using a ping driver last week and now he's using a Cobra driver and now he's using something else. So just bear that in mind for people watching. It's not in chronological. I said it really well before. Chronological order. So if you see comments of people saying, oh, I'm sure you were using said driver the other day, you can have the insight to be able to reply and go, well, actually, Rick said on his podcast, which you need to like, subscribe and listen to, that these videos will not be going out in chronological order.
You just went to say chronological, didn't you?
It's quite a good word, isn't it? Yeah. Satisfying word.
What were the drivers that you were using?
So the old trusty
G425.
Ping G425 Max, which I've had in the bag for a long time now, actually. I had a very holiday romance, a fling almost. I think borderline one night stand. With the Adams Idea driver. Yeah,
that was terrible. The walk of shame next morning with that one.
It worked so well when I tested it. Anyway, and then my recent trip to Dubai, and this driver's staying in the bag currently, the Cobra Dark Speed LS.
Yeah.
Very impressed. Not perfect yet, but it's there.
Yep. Fair dues. Not one you'd see me using, but that were different people.
And I'm sorry to say, there's 3 golf clubs that are potentially going to be retired this week. The putter.
3 wood. Driving iron thing.
Yeah.
Has that gone down as well?
It's happening this spot.
It's anxiety about these clubs.
The 3 iron, the club that I honestly thought was the greatest golf club I've ever used in my life. I think personally, because I think I've changed my swing quite a bit since I love that club. I just can't. I don't like it anymore.
Wow.
So I've got room and I want new irons. So that will literally be a full bag overhaul. And I've tested some new wedges, which might make it in the bag too. So
very good.
Bit of everything.
This time next year, you could actually be on LIV. Never mind. I wonder where it's all going. Starting to quite like it, entertaining it, playing a bit of golf, getting in shape. Next year, you got your own team, the Shiels Sharks.
I like that. I like that. Who would I have on it?
But your goal is just to break 80. So you're not about winning the event.
No.
You get 4 million quid for breaking 80.
Yes. Okay. I still wouldn't do it. I mean, I must admit, that golf course last night at Mexico did look bloody easy.
I didn't really look at it.
It looked, I mean, it's long, don't get me wrong, but the rough was, it's hardly any rough. A piece of cake.
Yep. Well, there you
Blitz
go.
It round
A couple of years, you'll be out there.
Could chip and putt and everything. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe. Check out lots more videos coming your way on the main channel and the podcast channel. And one day, the hit channel will come back into life.
LIV Golf then.
The hit channel will be back. We'll come on to that another time.
That's another story.
That's a podcast in its own right. Right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Guy.
Cheers.
You going back to bed?
Yeah. It's all right. Not with you. I thought you said the last video, didn't you? At the end, do you remember?
It's good, wasn't it?
It was funny. Witty.
It was all a lie.
We got in bed together and had a night of passion.
You, me, and my 3 wood. All right, guys. All the best. See you soon.